Okay, so there seems to be more people watching these than I expected. I made these for my friend, but if it helps other people, then I'm glad. They aren't actually my original ideas. My teacher taught all these notes to me, and it's just how I interpret it and explain it that seems to help. So I hope this helps. Okay, An African Thunderstorm. This poem is extremely descriptive, and it's literally about an African thunderstorm. It's not very deep. The connotation it has is essential. There's a negative connotation of destruction, but the thunderstorm is made out to be very cruel, but also very life-giving, which sums up Mother Nature. There is hints in this poem that it could be about the colonialism of Africa. So you can argue that point if you want, but the main idea would rather just be the nature metaphors of the poem. From the West. Okay, this is where the idea of colonialism obviously starts because it came from the West. But from the West, clouds come hurrying with the wind. Hurrying shows that there's speed, and wind, it shows that there's a lot of movement, and this wind is the power that is dominating the storm. Turning sharply, there's speed, it's erratic, it's powerful, and there's lots of enjambment to emphasize each line and movement. Turn sharply here and there, so it shows it's unpredictable, like a plague of locusts. So as we see the word like, we know it's a simile. It's comparing the wind with a plague of locusts, which is a very negative idea. But at the same time, it's still part of nature. The plague of locusts has a connotation of being extremely destructive and invasive. So that's the connotation it therefore gives the wind. Whirling. So the ing words, the present participles, show a sense of movement, because as you can see, there's quite a few of them. Tossing up things on its tail, like a madman chasing nothing. Another simile from the word like. So a madman, the wind is compared to a crazy person. It's compared to being angry, deranged. Pregnant clouds, that's a very visual description. It's the features of the clouds, and it describes it as being big and swollen, but also it gives life as it rains. Rides stately on its back. Stately means large and elegant, quite noble. It is the wind. It's stately is linked to the idea of monarchy. And in this stanza, the first hints of the storm being positive start to be introduced. Gathering to perch on hills, another present participle. The clouds are gathering around the hills, like sinister dark wings. Another simile. This is another negative simile, and it links to birds. It also makes the clouds and the storm more alive, gives it a figure which links to personification, and it's a very threatening figure that it creates. The wind whistles by, onomatopoeia, and the trees bend to let it pass. In that line, we see that the trees submit to the power of the wind. It links to the royal image, overruling, and it links to the storm being all-powerful. In the village, screams of delighted children. Okay, so now there's quite a contrast to what happened here. Now we look at the human impact of the storm, and it's contradictory because the children are delighted, but the storm is very dangerous. But to young children who don't necessarily understand the implications of danger, it's exciting and it's a thrill and it's adrenaline. Screams of delighted children toss and turn. So it's saying the screams are caught up in the wind and move with energy, with little control. Frustrated restlessness. It's quite a nice phrase. It's just once again showing the movement, and you get an image of the storm when you think of literal words being caught up in the frenzy of it all. In the din of the whirling wind. Okay, din is an overwhelming noise, and whirling wind, we have some alliteration. And the din is a very negative noise. And the alliteration is a hard W sound, and it adds to the movement or the idea of the movement of the wind. There's another W. Women, babies clinging on their backs. Okay, so we see this word is placed alone, which emphasizes it. Women, obviously life-giving, which links to the clouds, being pregnant. Babies clinging on their backs, dart about in and out. So very short lines to show the rapid movement, and quite contrasting to the idea of the children, because basically they need to get everything inside, so they're quite frantic. The little couplet shows the frantic movement, and the women are very fearful. They know the consequences of the storm. Madly shows there's panic. Once again, it contrasts to the kids because they're more of the impact, while the children are enjoying it. Madly, the wind whistles by whilst trees bend to let it pass. Okay, obviously a repetition. It shows the nature and the humans are both submitting to the wind. Line length variation emphasizes unpredictable movement of humans and the wind. Everything is very chaotic and shook up. Clothes waved like tattered flags. Tattered is broken, and this is a visual metaphor, another link to colonialism and the power of Africa against the power of colonialism. Flying off to expose dangling breasts. The idea of breasts links to nature and life. The storm, as it destroys, it still brings things that give the earth and the people that live on it life. This is quite a vulnerable and intimate image, obviously. It's quite maternal, and it links to Mother Nature. Also, the use of gender gives the storm a certain connotation, as like if you say something's motherly, it gives it a positive connotation. As jagged, blinding flashes, so now the weather gets more impactful. The storm is breaking. It's the climax of the poem. Rumble, tremble, and crack. So even if you read that out, you can hear like the harsh sounds. The storm is being more dangerous. Amidst the smell of fired smoke. So once again, just links to the terror and the horror of the image. And the pelting march of the storm. Pelting shows that it hurts and it's very hard. Even the word is hard. The pelting march of the storm shows it's continuous. It cannot be stopped. Also, the march could link to colonialism again and Africa rising back up. But the whole imagery just shows how powerful an African storm can be. So it's just a descriptive poem. It has really nice adjectives. It can have hints of other things such as colonialism in it, but the lines can be broken down quite simply. So, yeah.